Hello. Hi. Not sure who's here yet, if there's anybody here. Um, I am going to cast this over to YouTube. I'm not sure. So give me a moment here if you're here. There we are. So I want to be able to see what's going on over on the YouTubes. Give me one moment. Alrighty. Very nice. Hello, Deb or D. You could be D. Cop. You could be Deb. Op. Cop. Hello, whichever one you are. Okay. I might do a slow. Let me. A slower start. To see who's coming in because I've had a lot of people say they would be here. So I'm just gonna at least introduce myself. Thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. My name is Jeanette. I also go by Gemma. That's my online personality. Sorry that my table is shaking. I did like try to secure everything down, but hi, Miss Elise. Hi, Unicorner. Hi, good morning. Or well, good morning for me. It could be afternoon for you. Um, Welcome to the cardboard crafting show. Look, I even have notes. Like I even cleared a space. Oh, this is going to be, how can I secure this so it doesn't rattle so much? Maybe if I don't move so much, it'll be more helpful. But I was like just introducing myself. My name is Jeanette. That's my legal government name. If you want to call me Jeanette, you can. I'm also Gemma. Always feels really weird if someone calls me Gemma in real life. So, but whatever on here. Crafty lady, whatever. Uh, I've been on Whatnot for a little over 2 months. I've only been a seller since about last week. But I also love to give demos and teach people what I know about crafting. It's one of my favorite things to do is to teach other people. So I like organization. Sorry, I know you can't see me, but I'm here. Here, I will talk with my hands. I do have Italian heritage, so it makes sense. Hello, House 27 Studio. Um, I love organization and I love engineering stuff. So this is like the perfect thing for me to do. This over here is one of my first like finished projects. Um, like you start out you start out like practicing, like, what am I going to make? I don't know what to do with this knowledge. And then you're like, oh, heck, well, I can do this kind of thing. So this was one of my first legitimate projects. This started this fascination. Oh, started. I need to not, maybe I'll just leave my arms up. I started this fascination because I had a whole bunch of rolls of supplies. So like, Cricut, vinyl, stuff like that. Of course, I can't think of anything. Lamination. And I wanted to store it vertically. And I could not, I knew what I wanted. I wanted like one of those architectural blueprint roll holders, but they were all too deep for what I had because the rolls that I was using, they were probably at the most 16 inches, and the architectural ones were way too deep. So I made my own, and it wasn't pretty. I still have it. It's in storage. A lot of stuff is in storage because if you could see behind me, you would absolutely be in the right to judge me about how my apartment looks right now. Welcome in. Hi, Deb. Um, so it started out with the like a roll holder, um, and it wasn't perfect. It wasn't finished as this is. This is my most finished project, and I could have done more, but I'm really happy with how it turned out. Um, and I just went from there. I was like, what other kind of organization stuff could I make? So I've made storage for like bottles of ink and watercolor tubes and all of that stuff. And if you're particular, I'm not saying that I am obsessive compulsive. I've been tested. The test was negative. Still have some doubts, but if you need things to be a certain way and you know what you want, and you're willing to put a little bit of extra effort into this kind of craft, the limits are sky high. Hi, Amy. Welcome in. It's so good to see your name. Oh wow, YouTube is delayed. I'm still shaking my hands in the YouTube side. Um, but I have this is such a cool skill to have. Highly recommend, and you can make fun stuff out of it too. I have my one of my first projects I tried to make was a cake on a cake stand, um, and I was going to paint it and do everything, but I felt it wasn't quite right yet, and it wasn't. So I went back and did some more like projects just for me before I did my next like artistic one. But you can, I this is something I did last night. Um, it's not in the pretty stage right now, but um, if you don't, if you like to do, people put quotes on wood pieces or wood slabs, you don't have a shop and you don't have wood. You probably have cardboard, paper, and glue and water. Um, and it looks, rough right now, but this thing, uh, it's, especially once you get the paper on it, it is sturdy like wood. It is very sturdy. So, things like that, like you want to make some kind of craft, this would make a great picture frame. And you can kind of knock down the texture a little. I like it rough. Like, I like the look of it like this. That sounded really weird. I like the look of it like this, where, it looks beat up. It looks like it could, once I have the primer on and maybe once I have a paint on, it'll look kind of, it's been sitting in my kitchen for 35 years collecting dust and oil from fried foods. So, um, but this thing is tough as wood. And again, once you get that paper on it, once you decoupage the paper onto it, it gets even stronger. So I have a lot of information about that. But good for artistic things too. Like I don't know. One of the first things I can remember making out of cardboard, especially paper boxes, was doll houses. This would be perfect for a dollhouse. The techniques that you need, or that you could use to make the dollhouse look finished, are a lot of the things that you can learn doing this. So that said, I've got notes even. Um, I don't know where I'm gonna put them. Uh, well, I can probably see them ish from here. Okay, looks good. By the way, how's the sound? The sound okay? I'm going to give you a little bit more of a close-up of this guy. He is my pride and joy. I don't know why, but it is a he. So what I am going to show you is, first of all, how to make this strong, how to make something like this, if this is what you're looking for. Let me inch this a little bit taller. I'm going to show you how to put in dividers. There are dividers in here that you can't see, so they're kind of hidden, but they still keep things separate, except for this glue thing because it's not inside one. I'll show you how to, I've made like, this is like a holder here so I can carry it from place to place. This is perfect. I like it better than cutting a hole in it to try and do that. I've also done this here is stenciled on with modeling paste or texture paste. So I can show you how to do that as well. Hopefully we'll get it all in. It's a lot, but I'm going to cover the most important, and you're welcome to ask all of the questions that you need to ask. I actually would encourage you to do that. Let me drop this back down. Okay. So a lot of things that I've used are the things I've organized, obviously art supplies. And I know we all have a lot of arts and craft supplies. I'm not psychic, but I'm just saying I would bet money on that some of us have a lot of art supplies. So one thing that really helpful to start with is knowing what you want to make. And I'm a planner, and I know this doesn't work for everyone and you don't have to do it this way, but I like to measure things out and figure out, okay, well, the average thing that I have is 2x2. I'll make 2x2 sections and I kind of go from there. But you can do it as you go along. So you could build the box, just the outside, this is all the room I have. I only have like 12 by 12 inches to put this organizer in. And then you can build the sections as you go. If you don't want to sit down and do the measurements, have the stuff handy that you want to put in there. And you can do it that way. You can even make it, if you wanted to, make the organizer adjustable using a few different techniques. You could even do that. So, but I am hi, Sheriff Steve. I'm the person who likes to figure things out first. You might say I like to over engineer things as well. So, um, let's say we are going to build, oh, I need a place for my glue. I need a place for these big hunkin' markers and my bone folder and like where could I store all of this? So I'm gonna figure that out. I like using graph paper because I'm a nerd, and I have more graph paper than someone who's not an engineer should have. But I'll go through and I'll lay things out the way that I want them to. So this is just like a grid paper. So I would be like, okay, well, I want to have space for this. These are kind of the same size. So maybe I could make, two sections that are the same size. I'll just divide it and then I don't have to think about the math part too much. Do that. That's amazing. So I would lay these things out. So like this Aleene's glue bottle, it's about 2x2 ish. And it's better to make it bigger than you need than smaller, unless you're like, I'll fill it. Like it doesn't matter if doesn't fit this glue bottle. I find something to put in it, which would be exactly what I would do. so kind of figure out what you have going on there, and you know, you can use the graph paper. I think the graph paper is easier because once you have things laid out, I thought I had some graph paper close by, but of course I don't see it. You once you have things laid out on your graph paper, if that's what you have, or even if you have just plain copier paper and you're just making boxes around them, you can cut those out and it'll help you keep those measurements. Like it the section needs to be this big, so that means the edges need to be beyond this size. So there are a lot of ways to get through it if you don't like the math. I'm weird. I love the math. So I like measuring things. Yeah, I'm sorry. It was my dad became a high school teacher later in life, and he was a shop teacher, which was perfect for him. But I don't think he remembered that it involved teenagers, so it didn't work out in the end. But his goal in life was teaching people how to read a ruler. So I definitely have that skill, and I take advantage of it. So um, ruler is important if you do want to do something very precise. Um, I think the most important measurements to remember are what eighths and sixteenths are. Um, so getting those down is probably one of the first things I do if I want to make something super accurate. Look, I even made a diagram. Um, uh, and I think that the eighths and the sixteenths are important because they're like the building block of everything. Especially the sixteenths. So you know the smallest measurement on at least um, our measurements in the United States and freedom units. Um, in freedom units, it's going to be in inches. Now, if you want to do millimeters, I would do that. It's more accurate. I don't, it's more accurate. So when I was measuring this yesterday, you know, if I'm measuring it with a ruler, it's like 5/16, but measuring with millimeters, it's just slightly more precise because I think it's broken down a little bit further. Or wait, it's not broken down further. One of those. So use millimeters. Get to know millimeters for one day when we all have to go that way and lose our freedom units. Excuse me. So I think the most important thing is to remember, you know, in the average ruler, it's going to have a 1/16 measurement, and 1/16 turns into 2/8, which is divisible. It's 2/16. So 1/16 and 2/16 is 1/8. There's 3/16. There's 4/16. 4/16 is a fourth. So you know, if you can get the hang of measuring within just 1 inch, it'll be helpful, but you don't have to. So don't be overwhelmed or don't feel discouraged because you're not a ruler person or not a measurement person. Because, like I said, if you can at least get a sheet of graph paper or a sheet of copy paper and just kind of cut out the boxes around the stuff that you want to build, that works too. That works just as well. If you want things to be more, you know, if you're weird like me and you like a challenge, and that's where the dopamine comes from, like writing your notes 5 minutes before show starts, do that. It's okay. So my advice to you, if you want to use a ruler and you want to try and be more precise with your measurements, get a hang of measuring by sixteenths on your ruler. So, and if it's been a while since you've done the math, there are 16 units in each inch. There are 4/4 within each inch. There are 2 seconds or 2 halves in each inch. So going through and doing that, looking at it as quarters sometimes helps. Like, you know, you've got 4 quarters in front of you. That's a whole dollar. It's the same as almost kind of similar to having an inch of something. So I won't go into too much detail in this. I do have pinned some cardboard crafting demo notes that will be available, and I will go more into depth in this and maybe give you a few. I can add some uh, like ruler tips in there as well. Those are $2 on my pin in the buy it now. It also helps support my stream. You will get a little instruction booklet with all of this, plus a link to the replay via Whatnot and YouTube, or the red site, the Y site. And it'll also give you some links to other content that will definitely inspire you and help you wrap your brain around these kind of things. So I'm, again, not a psychic, but I could probably determine with 100% accuracy that you all have cardboard or cardboard box in your home. If you buy something from the Jungle site, the A site, it will sometimes come with packing paper, which is on the ground right now. The packing paper in the Amazon, in the Jungle site, is perfect for finishing the project so that it has more of a flat, more of a less of a cardboard feature to it. So you can still kind of see the corrugation here, and especially on the side, because I did some experiments here to see how to make it look nicer. But, oh, it's not going to show. Let me move my light. Oh, there we go. That's better. But if you have an Amazon, I'm not going to be able to not say that. I'm sorry. If you have a box that came with packing paper, you have a cutting tool, you have glue and water, you can do this. You can make absolutely whatever you want to. Anything that you could have made with wood, you can do with cardboard. I would even venture to say you could make a doghouse out of it. You could make a real house out of it, with the right weatherproofing, which some of the content I provide in the instruction booklet will have links to waterproofing. So if you do want to make something that goes outside, there's a recipe in there for that waterproofing, and it's not biodegradable, but it can still be used as fuel later if, you know, it falls apart over time or whatever. Rambling. Sorry, my apologies. Anyways, so what I love to start with first are the flaps on a box. So you know, well, it's over here. You'll get the box and it'll have the bottom and the top flaps, and it'll have 4 on each. I like to cut those off first. Those are actually to me, those are the most useful parts. You can get let's see, 8, you can get 12 really good scraps of cardboard from a shipping box. And you do want to make sure that it's in, you know, good enough condition. If it's not, that's still not a problem. You can reinforce it and make it more sturdy. And that will, you can still do it. Like, you can still go for it, even if the box is, you know, kind of wonky. But I like cutting off the flaps first. I use a box cutter to do this. I'm also very I feel like I have enough knowledge to use a box cutter pretty confidently. Watch me cut my finger off during this show. But I'm pretty comfortable with a box cutter. If you want something more safe, you could use a cardboard box um, machine cutter that you can get off any major website. The kind that's like mechanical, you put batteries in it, and it's more of a vibration that cuts the cardboard than it is something sharp. There's still something sharp in there, but it's also like the action of the vibration that helps cut it. You can use one of those, which is also very helpful if you have issues with your hands. You want to make something, but your hands are not 20-year-old hands anymore. Mine aren't. You can get one of those electric cardboard box cutters. Highly recommend. I actually have one, but I have no idea where it is. It's still in the box. I bought it 3 months ago. So, yeah, don't do that. Um, so if you're comfortable with a cardboard, like a this kind of knife, use it. If not, don't. If you're not comfortable, but you have some good hand strength, you could cut the cardboard with a good pair of scissors. Um, Personally, for me, that's going to make my hand hurt pretty quickly. I don't mind doing the small details. Like if I needed to cut this little triangle off, I would just use scissors to do it. It's easier to do than with a knife. I'm only making one small cut. I'm not making a series of cuts. So, you know, um, once you've got these, your boxes torn apart, you have so much opportunity to build. So I'm going to go through a list of things to like get started. So we talked about getting your items, measuring them, either having the measurements or cutting them out from a piece of graph paper, and having those available to use kind of as your template, which I also like because let's say you want to make the box again. If you've cut them out, that's a bonus of doing the cutout as opposed to doing the ruler, is that you can then kind of remake it more easily, because once someone sees this, they may be like, I really want one of these. Can you make one for me? And you'll be like, sure, I can just whip it up because I have my templates. So welcome in, Josh Joy. Welcome in everybody who's coming as I've been blabbering. I'm trying to keep track of time. I'm so sorry. I talk a lot. I'm gonna try and keep this under an hour and a half. So hopefully it doesn't scare anybody. But again, if you can't stay forever, this will be available on YouTube. You could purchase my demo notes pinned below, just $2, and the price of the postage. And I'll get that sent out to you, and you'll have that forever. Where Whatnot, you'll only have, I think it's a certain amount of days and a certain amount of the playback. Anyways, okay. So last night, these are my samples. I went through, this is a heavy duty box that you can get from the website Superstore. I like these. They have the green. I think they almost exclusively have the green thing on them, but these are not as flimsy as the regular ones you would get. So I went through, well, not that I care. If someone wants to dox me and put some excitement in my life. I went through and just cut off. These are all at the seam of the box. I will usually remove the stickers, but you don't have to. It makes the surface better if you don't have anything additional onto it. If you can't get it all off, that is not a big deal. Basically, what I'm telling you here is nothing is a big deal. We're on a rock, gliding through space. So it is not a big deal if you're like, I don't want to take the masking tape off. You don't have to. Don't do it if you don't want to. So I cut all of these up from a box, and this is a nice surface. So this is like 8 by 20, I think, if I measured it correctly last night. Okay, no, it's 8 by 17 and a half. Good surface. You could make nearly anything you want out of just one box. And even if you don't want to make it pretty, I've put some tutorials in the playlist that I'll provide in the demo notes of people who are making the box just as is, doing minimal prettiness. But I want to teach you also how to do the prettiness, because I think that would be helpful to crafters. Um, uh, if you wanted to make something and sell it, uh, do it, because it, like I said before, this can be as strong as wood once it is fully dried out. So I made this less than 24 hours ago, about 12 hours ago. So the possibilities are endless. So I like starting with the flaps. I have a whole box of them. I have a whole plastic container of flaps that I've cut off cardboard boxes and every size possible, just to kind of make it easier to work on a project. If you have space for that, do that. So I cut off the flaps. Again, I used a knife cutter to do that, and we'll just slide across the top here to get them detached. I'll do them one by one, very methodically. You want to do slow cuts with a knife. You want to reduce your risk as much as possible. I do not want you losing a finger or cutting an artery. Okay, no artery cutting. This is cardboard. No arteries. So nice slow cuts to get everything torn apart. Once you get the flaps off, then it's even easier to break down the box part, the actual body of the box, easier. And I just cut in the grooves and the, whatever you want to call it, in the scoring, in the folds. I just cut along the folds. If you have a really big project and all you have are these, don't worry about it. There's also a way to take a whole bunch of little pieces and make them into one big sturdy piece. So I wouldn't worry about that. I wouldn't start big at first. I would start kind of small. So on the cardboard, we know it's called corrugated. And the corrugation is, between this side and this side, there is like a little paper that runs through it, and it's glued together with some starch glue. That is what the corrugation is, and you can tell there's like a grain to it. Each piece is going to have its own grain. The parts from the top, I think, are almost, oh yeah, they're always going to be north to south. It's definitely harder to cut this way, to cut against the grain, but it's possible, and I'll show you kind of a trick to do that if it's difficult, and it'll make it easier to cut. But one super important thing that I learned about building these boxes is to make them the strongest possible is to alternate the corrugation, north and south against east and west. So when I made this frame, what I did was I cut out two pieces, right here, down lower. Okay, I cut out two pieces like this, and the grain is going in opposite directions. So this grain is going this way, and then this one on the top is going this way. That's where it gets its strength from. I also like to laminate these. Hi, Bev! Welcome in. Happy afternoon. Happy Monday. I'm just jibber jabbering endlessly. Talking about the grain of corrugated cardboard and how it makes things very strong. So if you want to make something that will last for a long time, I would use that method. You don't have to. If it's too much for you to cut across the corrugated, cut across the grain, then don't do it. do, you know, 1 or 2 sections and just laminate those together. That's fine. Um, Maybe if you need someone to help you with it, you can have them help you cut the corrugation against the grain. It is difficult, and that's probably where a lot of people get their cuts from, is trying to cut against the corrugation. So, um, but you'll cut the pieces apart, and I have some little squares here. So you can see the corrugation right there. And then the part that's not corrugated, you'll kind of just see a channel. So when you put these two together, even without the lamination, just them being next to each other, it's not an easy bend. But if you are not going to do that, it's a pretty easy bend if you keep the corrugation together. So if you can, definitely recommend um, laminating them like this. And by lamination, what I mean is glue. And if you want, you'll see a lot of people who do their boxes using hot glue, which is great. I think it's easier. I don't think Karen was on this morning. Yeah. I don't think she's doing the morning show. I think she's paused that for a moment. Oh, right. So a lot of people build the structure of their cardboard thing with hot glue. So like adding these dividers in here and attaching them to the sidewall, I used hot glue there to make an instant hold. For the rest of it, like the details where I'm putting these two pieces together, I use regular all-purpose glue. I think it works better, and it seems more secure. So last night I took these two pieces and I laminated them with the hot glue, and you can kind of see a problem here, but then I'm also chaotic, so you might not have this problem, but I put these together with hot glue. And it is pretty strong, but remember the hot glue is sitting on the surface. So when you're hot gluing stuff together, it doesn't go down into the surface like it would with a wet glue. So this is the wet glue. I put this together last night, like 13 hours ago, and it's dry. It's ready to be used. So if you do have the time to laminate, you know, you can laminate all the pieces you need in the morning and then put it together at night or the next day. I recommend the using all-purpose glue for lamination. And it's okay to use hot glue if you don't have the time and you don't have that kind of glue. It's not a big deal. And you can always, if you get these like little boogers that come out of the edge, like mine, you can cut those off pretty easily with a very soft hand, because you don't want to cut through the cardboard. But if you give it, well, maybe not. Maybe I glued it too well. But you can get these off with a little bit of work. Of course, I look like I'm doing something very dangerous right now, but you know, if you can't be completely neat, don't be neat, go back and, you know, you can clean it up here. I probably could have removed this with something else that wasn't sharp, but you can remove those. So if you want to tidy it up, or if you're going to prime it eventually, if you want to make it a pretty color, you probably won't see these. It won't be a big deal. Yes, Bev, I made this holder from cardboard. This is one of my first big projects. Like, excuse me, legit finished it kind of project. I could stand on this. This has at the least 2 layers of cardboard in these dividers. There's 2 there. It's got like 3 or 4 in these handles I have on the side, so I can carry it around without having to put a hole in it and kind of jeopardize the integrity of the box. But this this puppy is solid. This will last, you know, if I'm not mean to it, it will last for a really long time. And like, it's got a space for everything. Of course, I also make spaces on my own, but I've got like a little place for notebooks and rulers. I've got a whole bunch of pens in here. I have my Oz in here, which I've actually created like a little space right there for my tiny one for this one. But yeah, this is made completely out of cardboard, glue, and water, and Audacity. So, and you can definitely make this. You know, it doesn't have to be the big scale. It doesn't have to be perfect, but you can definitely make something if you need something and you know you don't have the $20 to spend on something from IKEA, or you don't like the quality of something from the Dollar General or whatever, you could make this, I think. Or you can just fly me out there and I'll make it for you. There you go. So demonstration of the two pieces. Here is, oh, I need to fix this light. Oh, that does not make it better. Oh, maybe. So these two pieces were done with hot glue gun. This was done with just regular all-purpose glue. I laminated them together. They're both strong. The hot glue one is probably a little bit stronger because the glue gets really solid, but I like using the all-purpose glue to laminate them together. So let's see. I'm going to plug in my hot glue gun because I'm a glutton for punishment. If you do not have a glue gun, I think it's like one of the best tools in a crafter's toolbox. You can do anything with it. I don't know what I would do without my hot glue gun. This one, she and we've been through a lot together. So, this is Art Mine, so I got this at Michael's. It was probably less than $10. Of course, I bought it probably 15 years ago, so it was probably only a few dollars. I have multiple glue guns. Please don't judge me. And I actually want one more. I'd love to get like an industrial one, that I don't have to continuously keep loading. But you can get glue guns pretty cheap. I always recommend getting some kind of protection for your glue gun. This is a heat tools. So this is actually made for like if you're curling your hair. This is a silicone pad for curling your hair. You know, you can rest your curling iron on it, and let it either cool off or, you know, as you're curling your hair, you can let it rest on this. So that's what I like to do. I'm going to put this out of the way. So I always have my glue gun on here. It's probably not going to stand up, but that's, okay. She'll kind of stand. Let's see, is that better? I need to figure out some lighting here. Hi, Kazajas, over on YouTube. I don't know how long you've been here or how long ago you said boo, but hello. Thank you for coming in. I'm sorry this isn't Minecraft. I'm casting over to YouTube, also, testing that out so I can kind of have some content. Oh, 5 minutes. Okay, good. Then I didn't miss you too much. And I'm casting over to YouTube, and one of my internet friends, Kedza Jaws, is over there, and we've known each other for a very long time. Over 15 years now? At least 15 years, I think. So he's over on YouTube, scaring me, but nice to see you, my friend. Now I can see what it looks like on the YouTube side. So if you want to watch this on YouTube, you can have the channel. I'm not going to gatekeep it from you. The channel is called The Gemma Girl. And it is spelled, wait, maybe, if it's going to let me, The Gemma Girl, no I, over on YouTube. So you'll be able to look at the replay there. I won't gatekeep that from you. If you don't want to purchase the instructions, it'll be there. Yeah. Anyways, okay, so glue gun. Glue gun safety. It's very hot. You can get finger cots or finger protectors if you want to use a glue gun and really don't want to lose your fingerprints. Or maybe you do. Maybe you're wanted by the FBI and you're like, fingerprints be gone. Then, raw dog it. You can just not use anything on your fingers. But you can get finger protectors, or you can wear like a heat proof glove or something like that if you don't want to take any chances, because this glue is stinking hot, and it will definitely burn you, and you'll be feeling it for at least a few days, if not longer. Plenty of glue sticks. You do want to be careful with the glue sticks that you buy because they are not all the same diameter. Usually the more like professional fancy glue guns are a thicker one like this. Thank you, Keza. I'm sorry you're going to have to listen to my voice, but thank you. I appreciate you. Look, you're number one. So thank you for listening. I appreciate it. So be careful about the diameter. You can get these online at big warehouse suppliers. And you just want to pay attention to the diameter. These, less expensive ones, they're going to be the average size. So this is, actually, it'll probably be in millimeters. This is like 7 millimeters across. So like 3.5 millimeters radius. I don't know that much math. And you can get these longer than this so that you don't have to refill them so often. I don't mind it, but I do keep a box, a supply of them nearby as I'm doing this. So let's make something. Let me readjust this so you can see more of my desktop. Okay. It is so weird to try and get this somewhat straight without you having to look at my lap. So let's make something. We don't have the time to laminate things the whole way. So, we're going to use our hot glue gun. But again, I recommend using all-purpose glue, PVA glue, glue that you can find in bulk at the hardware store, and laminating these first together after you've cut out and measured everything. So let's make a little, what can we make? Any suggestions? So throw suggestions at me. If there's something you want to see me make that I can do in the next like 30 minutes. And some of the things that you can make, I'll give you some ideas myself. There is a YouTube channel, actually there's 1,000 bazillion of them, that will show you how to make things out of cardboard. And those paper boxes that you can get at the craft store that are really pretty and they have the really pretty print on them. You can make those out of cardboard. Those are made out of pie chipboard. So you could make those. We can make a box. You can make a book box, like the boxes that look like a book that you're opening, which I think would be great for junk journaling. If you want to make a really snazzy, sturdy cover, you can do it out of this cardboard. it will be as strong as chipboard, if not a little bit stronger, once they're laminated together. You could do that. There's tutorials on the video site that will show you how to do that. And, once you've watched a few, you'll probably get the hang of like how things are working and what to do. I find the best channels, for whatever reason, are the ones that are not in English. Um, and maybe it's because people are more resourceful outside of the States. But there are some really great YouTube channels out there. One from Brazil, her name is Sartes, Sartes. She makes more of the decorative stuff, and she makes them using lamination too. Like she'll double them up or triple them up sometimes, and she'll make things for the wall. She'll make things, for to put things in. Hers are sturdy. So I think what I'm going to do, since I thought about it yesterday, and it'll cover a lot of bases, I'm going to make um, uh, what is it? There's another word for it, and niche. And niche, I guess, is the Spanish word, or ofrenda or altar. Ofrenda is different, but something that we can put on the wall. And it'll make like a really cute thing that you can hang on the wall. And this is kind of perfect because it's already kind of split in the middle. So that'll be helpful. And you won't really need measurements with this. You can wing it. So this might be a good first project for you. If you go into Pinterest, if you go in there and you type in cardboard wall hangings or cardboard shelves or something like that, you'll see a bazillion projects that people have done, and definitely will have the inspiration that you need. So let's do that. And let me move this around a little. Let me make this smaller. We'll put it there. I have a cutting board down on my desk, just a little one. I think this is 18 by 12 inch or an A3 cutting board. Very important to have one of these. So does it need to be perfectly square? No, it doesn't. I'm not too concerned with that. All I'm going to do is kind of shore up or kind of even out this bottom part. So I'm just using my ruler. Okay, it isn't picture. I'm using my ruler and like the edge of the ruler to kind of make it square with each other. I'm going to use scissors because this is a really small cut. So you can see my mark there. It's a really small cut. And of course I'm shaking today. So it is not a big deal. It'll get more difficult as you get higher. But, you can even this up. If you were here for my jelly plate demonstration a few nights ago, you'll know I don't necessarily need things to be pretty. If they're functional, then I'm happy. So I just cut that off with some scissors. If you want to use a ruler and you want to use a knife, I like using a ruler that has this finger guide on it, because then you can hold down your ruler and it's at least mostly protected by this. This is a Westcott. I know for sure that you can still get these at a store, like at a craft store. I like this one. I also have one from Cricut, which is like super heavy duty and sharp. So I don't have it out very often. But if you have a ruler like that, try and get that. If you don't have a ruler like that, if this is what you have, just be mindful of your fingers, where they are. Take nice slow first cuts. So when I say slow first cuts, here's against the grain. Is this going to be where I cut my artery? This is against the grain. I'm going to take a slow, shallow first cut. nice and slow. You probably only need 2 cuts. I guess if you're strong, you could do it in one. But once you have that first slow one, it's a lot easier to cut through. So that took like 2 cuts. I always recommend, this will probably, my number 2 recommendation is the first cut should be slow, a slow, steady cut with your ruler. You could even, once you have that first cut, you could probably even do it without a ruler and be a little bit safer and, cut away from yourself. Recommendation. So if you're taking notes, slow first cut. You also want to make sure your knife is sharp. I wanted to show you guys this. If you use this kind of knife, this is the kind that breaks off. Let me see how close I can get before it gets blurry. I recommend having a pair of pliers. You don't need a pair of pliers. You can use this little doohickey back here. But if I'm cutting, and you'll probably want to do this a few times within your project, I will cut this. It's much easier and safer to do it with the pliers. And then I have a sharps container that I would put that in. If you don't, I tend to, I'll wrap it in plastic or paper, something to keep it not out in the open, I guess, and throw it away that way. So, oh, I didn't put my thing in here. That's my video tube channel. Hello, Wonderland. Hello, Alicia. Hello, everyone joining. I'm getting ready to start a project. We're gonna do a wall shelf. Because it's a nice, easy first project and you don't need measurements. If you're not a measurement person, I'll have some instructions and some guides for getting used to a ruler. If you're not, it's probably one of those life skills that's, I think, is really important, and not a lot of people really grasp reading a ruler. So if you want some instructions, hi, randomly designed. Welcome, my friends are here. I don't know why I go high pitched when I say that. But in my pinned to the show is cardboard crafting demo notes. I will send that to you via USPS for $2, and that helps support me and doing these demos where I'm not really selling anything. I also have some happy mail in there if you'd like it. But if you'd like some extra tips and you like to have something in your hands to read from, I will send you my instruction booklet with all of these tips and a link to the YouTube so you can watch it replay. So we're going to make a cardboard wall shelf, and you could make, you could use it to put like a little trinket on. I'm trying to find a trinket that I have that's small. Why do I have all large trinkets? What's up with that? So like if you had a Funko Pop and you wanted to create a cool case for it to put on the wall, you can do it this way. So this piece right here, the grain is going this way. So I want to find a piece. I want to make it strong because it's going to be on the wall. So I'm going to use this piece also as the way to make it really strong. Again, you don't have to. If you're going to put air, you're going to put like one of those electric candles in it or little tea candles, and you don't need it to be double, super strength, don't do it. You don't have to. I like to double ply mine because then it makes it look more finished later to me. And then it makes it, takes paint a little bit better because it's thicker. So we'll use these two pieces. I think this piece, when I measured it, it was like 7 by 17.5 or something like that. And this is just a regular box. So let's make a small one. I am not going to measure at all to show you that it can be done. So you can see the grain here. Let's make it a nice like landscape or vertical. And this is my little cheat for for making things semi-square, is if I have a square bottom at my ruler, I'll just kind of line those up to try and make a nice cut. It's fairly accurate. It's not super accurate, but it's fairly accurate. And then let me see if I can, I don't know how close I can get. And then you see my ruler with the nice finger guide. It's slippery. One thing that you can do if you feel like it is too slippery to be safe, is to grab some, well, I would use double-sided tape, but you can put some tape on the back here to keep it from, oh, I'm not in picture. You can put some tape on the back to kind of help. It's not going to last forever. These are, I semi-help, but not really. So if you want to make sure, put some double-sided tape or something non-stick, and that makes it a lot easier. So again, I'm gonna make my first cut. We're gonna go, actually I'm gonna do it this way. We're gonna go nice and slow on our first cut. And we're cutting with the grain, so it's much easier, and it probably goes through the first cut. So nice, pretty cut there. So then what I'm going to do with the next part is, I'm not going to use this because I want the grains to go opposite. I'm going to go over here to this box, and it looks like this is the original edge. I'm just going to line it up and cheat. Oh wait, is it going? Yeah, that's going the right way. The grain is going opposite. I'm just going to, that's it. That's the tweet. That's all you need. And I'm going to first cut it against the grain. And again, cutting against the grain is going to be harder. So you want to, again, make sure steady and slow. So you're going to need at least 2 or 3 cuts for against the grain. And I'm going extra slow. So you can kind of, I don't know if you can hear that, but you can hear me going through the corrugation. So the next cut is going to be easier, and this cut will probably be the last one. So slow and steady on those first cuts, especially going against the corrugation. I'm going to see if I can. It doesn't look even. It probably is. This cut is going with the corrugation, so it'll be a lot easier. Slow and steady. It took like 1 cut for that. Something just fell. What was it? Oh, I don't know. So here we go. Here's my 2 pieces. I'm going to back you out here. Here are my 2 pieces. They go against the grain. They're going against each other, and it just makes it so much sturdier. Again, to save time, I am going to use a hot glue gun. You can also, actually, I'll do this. You can also double up on the glue by laminating it with all-purpose glue, and then using, oh, it doesn't want to. Why is it like this? We'll use my aliens. This is the purpose it was bought, is it sits upside down. So of course it's probably sealed. What do you think? Yes, it is sealed. It would have taken a lot of time for me to figure that out. Thankfully, the nerves make my brain work sometimes a little bit more. Of course, wow. Aileen wanted to make sure that you could not get into that. Fine, Aileen. We'll show you. I'll have to go back and officially cut that, but so I'm going to put regular glue on here, and then I am going to help it stick by, see, and I already did that, and it goes in here like that. I'm going to make it stick also by adding some hot glue. So I am just running a bead across this, and of course I just ran out. Gosh. So I'm just running this hot glue very quickly against the edges. And you don't have to put the pretty side out, but I'm weird. And the hot glue gun is going to take very quickly, so you need to make sure that it's straight, which I didn't do. Oh, thank you, Mel, for your purchase. Hi, also, everyone coming in. I'm right now, we're going to build a shelf to put on the wall, like a cardboard shelf. And I'm going to show you all some cute things that you can do with it. I'm laminating this. I put some regular all-purpose glue in, and then I did a more quick glue with some hot glue around the edges. So this will be extra time. The only thing you have to make sure that you do, which I did not do, is make sure that it goes on straight. But again, my motto here is it doesn't have to be perfect. You can you can disguise a lot of sins doing this cardboard thing. So here we go. I would really like to show you how to do a curve. So do I have something big enough? I do, probably. Ish. Okay, she won't be perfect, but that's okay. We'll make it part of the design. So I am going to, oh, you know what? That's what dropped my pen. I am going to cut like a little arch. So I can show you also how to do that. So we'll do a little arch here. I use my little planter. And I'm going to do like a little, she's gonna have, she's gonna be fancy. So there we have an arch. How the heck are we gonna cut this out? There are a few options for you. Again, if you feel comfortable with the knife, you can do that. If you feel like you've got the hand strength, you can go in and cut this by using your scissors. You can also use an X-Acto knife. The scissors are going to kind of crimp the ends. That's not a big deal. It's not a big deal, but I'm, you know, this, I feel like I'm putting mostly minimum pressure to cut this. So, you know, if you have hand pain, you know, you'll have to be careful and figure out, you know, is it worth doing this, that I might cause myself pain later. But I'm just cutting along here. I cut the arch first. I probably can't get that because right-handed. So I am going to use my knife for this. And I am slowly cutting away the rest of this arch to try and make it semi-round. So there we go. And it's got like a little corner here. Hello. Oh, Sonia, I know you've been here. I didn't say hello. Hello, Sonia. So here we got the first part of it, and now I've created a big mess. So let me get some of these things off of here. First. And for those of you who weren't here earlier, I did this last night as a kind of refresher for my brain. and to show that it doesn't take long to dry, and kind of do that as an example of something else. This is, she's strong. She's very strong. This is just, this part here is 2 layers. This is a 3rd layer that I made the frame with. But it's got the paper decoupage on it, or however you want to say it, paper mache. It's not authentic paper mache, but the premise, it's pretty similar. This, you know, you could prime this. Um, and I can show you that. That might have to be another demonstration. You could prime this. You have a quote you want to put on here. You want to put mom on here. You can do that. If, you know, I like the roughness of it, so I wouldn't really do anything else to prep it. So, but this is an example of what you can do other than my box. Okay, so we are going to need a bottom to our box. So I'm just gonna play around and kind of, you know, how deep do I really need this? I just really want a pretty box. This is probably a better depth. Yeah, I like that. So I'm not measuring, just to show you that you don't have to measure. The only thing I'm using the ruler with is to get a nice cut. So there we go. There's one piece. I am going to take this. Oh, this side looks more straight. Take this and wing it. I put a little cut there. Nice slow first cut. And there I have my first cut. So again, I am the first part of my shell. So again, I want to do one the opposite way. Thankfully, this actually is the same size. It is not perfect. You can see this is not cut the most perfect way. So I'm just making a copy here. I'll use my scissors. This is just 1 ply of cardboard, and I would say this is like minimal. Well, for me, I don't have arthritis in my hands. I have some neuropathy, but this feels pretty minimal to me. I really like the longer scissors. It just feels like there's more, I can get more power behind it. So there's my alternating piece. This will be my bottom. I am going to double it up with glue and some hot glue, and I'm going to try and be more accurate this time when I put them down. So I'm just putting like a bead of glue. It doesn't even have to be a full bead, you know, just some glue to help it go down. Try and square it up to laminate it, because that'll be helpful. And this is already pretty, you know, this is already pretty strong. If I put a really good hanger on this to put on the wall, I could probably put something pretty heavy. But you know, if you want to build one of these, this would actually be perfect size for a Funko Pop. This would be perfect. So it's sturdy. Okay, so this is our bottom. This is going to be our back. So what we need now, I have some notches here, so I'm going to do the sides, and then I'll show you how to do this curve. Oh wait, are these? These are not quite what I want. So something, if you're winging this, something that's important to pay attention to is how deep, or what the depth or thickness is of your cardboard. I find that 2 together is usually 1/4 of an inch. So these 2 together, well, you can't see that because of the glare, are about 1/4 they're just shy of 1/4 of an inch. So a single piece is probably an eighth. So you need to know the depth, and the reason why you need to know the depth is as you're building this, I'm gonna glue this part on. I'm gluing it like this, where I'm gluing this piece directly to the back. So the back isn't here, it's on top of the shelf, it's actually behind it. You can do either way. I think the more secure way is probably this way, but I'm going to do it this way. And I'm going to need to know the depth when it comes to, well, if you're ringing it, you don't really need to know the depth. What you do need to know is where you're going to put your shelf, how you're going to assemble it. So if you cut this shelf to be the width of your back, you can do that. Or if you cut it a little bit longer so that it hangs over the edge. So let's see if I can do this. So, okay, we'll do it with one, simpler. So if you're going to do it where it hangs over the edge, you just want to be aware of that. It's not the end of the world if you don't do that. So yeah. So actually, I'm going to glue this on now for it to be kind of helpful to see. I'm only using hot glue for this because this is more structural. So I'm using hot glue. I'm going to hold it here for a moment. If you want it perfection, which I never recommend, you could get you could hold it so that it's flush-ish, and it's going to take a moment. And of course, you don't want to move it around. It's going to take a moment to really get a hold there. But this, of course, will be stronger once we have the edges on. Okay, what's time? 10:17. Okay, we'll let that finish while we're doing this other part. So I want to make these edges as deep as the wall hanging is. So the depth that I want is this and this together. So if you see from the other side, I've got it overlapping on this edge and overlapping here. So what I want is something just about this size. I'm going to use this, or actually, no, I'm not, because I don't have enough pieces. Oh, that just fell off. I am going to use another piece of the same box. So imagine if you want to make a whole bunch of these, Christmas coming, birthdays, stuff like that. Money is tight. I am a person who loves handmade gifts. I would take a handmade gift over a store-bought one any day. I don't care what it looks like. I don't care if I can see the glue coming out of it. I would take a handmade gift over anything else from a store any day. And you could make these for dollars. If you already have the supplies, then kind of making it for free. So out of one box. So you could probably get 10-ish of these out of one standard shipping box. So you want to make affordable gifts that you're not spending a ton of money on. You can make this look super cute. For nearly nothing. So I did a measurement here. It is about, it is 2 5/8 wide. I am, again, not going to measure it. I'm winging it to show you that you can wing it also. So this one, my green is going this way, by the way. So I'm gonna cut a longer piece than I need. Oh, and there goes that pin. The pins are just gonna go away. Ah! Am I a professional? No. So I'm going to cut a long piece. I don't need a long piece, but I'm going to cut a long piece nice and slow. That basically took one cut. And then I am going to wing it from this side. This is with the corrugation, so again, it's probably only going to take you one cut. And if you don't get it the whole way, then it's okay. So this one, the corrugation is going this way. So I probably don't have one deep enough. Actually, that might work because I only need it to go here. Yeah. So that's fine. I want to cut one that is against the grain. Again, I want to make this thing last a lifetime. It's going to be a family heirloom one day. So, you know, we're going to make her strong. So just put a line there. I am cutting with the corrugation, so I probably only need one cut. And there we go. This one goes this way, north to south. This one goes east to west. So I am, I'm going to cut an extra one of these out. Maybe it's not quite long enough. I like to put the line on here just as a nice guide. So I'm going to cut another one of these out because we're going to do both sides. And then I'm going to go back to this piece and I'm going to cut another one out here. Nope, I almost lost her. She almost went down. I'm just going to cut it the whole way across. Nice and slow. That is not very, not very straight. That's okay. That is okay. Sometimes straight is boring. Okay, so I'm going to try to cut on the cardboard. This is going against the grain, so this one's going to be harder. So I'm going to go even slower as I make this cut, and I kind of have to move it to stay on my thing. And so what I do to make sure that I'm, you know, if I have to make two cuts, there's already this score here. I'm going to put my knife back into that score and kind of line it back up again and cut it the rest of the way through. That's one way to kind of make sure that you're, you know, if you have to do two, if you're doing a long length, you know, do a little bit, put your knife back in the score, do it, you know, cut it the rest of the way. It's kind of a helpful thing to do. So let's laminate these girls. I'm going to laminate them first and think about it later. So she does not, we're going to put her, oh, oh my gosh, that's so perfect. We are going to double her up with glue, and it's not the whole size, so I'm not going to put it the whole way. I'm actually going to put this part of hot glue down here. And I'm kind of using my fingers to line it up on the edges to make sure it's mostly there. And it's mostly there. I'll probably have to cut a little bit down. Don't have to cut it down. You could still, you know, make a good thing doing it this way. So there's some regular glue, and then I'm going to put like a little bead of hot glue to make that like, to make it stick together quicker. So that's helpful for the hot glue. Yes, this is hot. This is very hot glue. Um, I like using, if you weren't here for that, I like using all-purpose glue. If I had time, and we were just going to sit here for 8 hours while it dries, we could do that. I just like the all-purpose glue because I feel like it gets a better adhesion, but I also don't mind doubling up with a hot glue to make it quick. So this isn't going anywhere, and then as it dries, it's going to be even better. Let me scrape this off. So I have these two pieces. They're very strong. Here is my girl. She doesn't match completely up at the edge, and that's okay. Again, I'm just making a mark. Again, I'm not using measurements. I'm eyeballing it. So that should be the same mark on both sides if we're lucky. Ugh. So we'll give her some extra grace here with our line, and we're gonna cut across that. So we'll do this one is going to take more cuts because it's doubled. So remember that, and you could have cut them before. If you wanted to cut them down to size before you glue them together, you can do that too, whatever. So just gonna hold it down a little bit differently. I kind of have my fingers holding this piece, also going back with my slow cut. I'm doing another, so I already have my cut here. So it kind of guides the knife through. So, and you can see here, that's not straight. It's okay. This one I'll use scissors. Again, you can cut it out this way. You just need the hand strings, and a good pair of scissors. I wouldn't recommend it with a really long length, because you do kind of need to cut it from both sides, but I'm able to cut it with these scissors. And I think I got these off the A site, less than $10. And, you know, I think because they're longer, it helps with that. What is that called? The fulcrum of the scissors. I don't know. It helps with that for them to be longer. So we've got our two pieces. Again, she is not perfect. We don't need perfection. She's a little bit more off than I would like. So what I'm going to do is I am going to put her together first. She's going this way. I am going to put a bead along this part and a bead on the bottom because they're both going to connect to the shelf, and then work quickly-ish. And don't burn your finger off. You're going to kind of have to hold it here for a moment. If you want an extra set of hands to hold this, you could get a brick, or some kind of something heavy. A lot of people like to wrap it in craft paper so it doesn't ruin your surfaces. And you can always like put the brick against here, and like it's already pretty good. We'll cut her later. So we're gonna do this side, and she is definitely too long, and she's a little too deep as well. So on this one, we're getting some more glue. Sorry, I'm not watching chat. We're gonna do a little bit more glue. We're gonna do a bead here and a bead along the bottom because that's where it's gonna connect to the cardboard. we're going to mostly line her up and hold her. So I'm holding the cardboard against the bottom part of the shelf and against the side. I'm going to hold it here for a few more seconds just to make sure it cools down. There. Like, we're most of the way there. And, you know, again, if you like things rustic or whatever, you could, you know, you could still decoupage this with some packing paper and kind of, you know, hide this, or you don't even have to do that. You could just wrap some regular craft paper around it instead of decoupaging the whole thing. You could do that also. So I am going to use the scissors, and I have a little bit, wait, where is it? I have a little bit further than I want. So I'm going to see, no, I can't do it. So I'm going to semi-carefully cut this off. And I got through the first one, and there's the second one. And then I'm just going to tear it. That's okay. It's torn. It's no big deal. You want to watch your hands. Try not to cut into your hands. Mostly through it, I'm basically ripping it apart. No big deal. It's fine. We can cover that. We can make it look, you know, sharp. Or maybe you want to have that like Adobe kind of effect to it. You could do that. You could also take texture paste or paper clay and round out these edges, and again have like that Adobe finish kind of look to it. But look where we are so far. It's basically finished. And if she's sturdy. Let's see what I have. There's some glue. There's some glue. So she's holding 8 ounces, you know, holding 24 ounces of glue. Oh, you can't really see that. And she's holding really well. So that is why I like to double up, just to make sure. Arches. So an arch we probably won't be able to double up because of how it's done, or so we'll be able to sort of double it up. We won't be able to double it up at the same time. You're going to have to do each piece separately. So my arch, there's going to be like a little shelf right here, which is kind of what I wanted. Just to show you that you know, it doesn't have to be perfectly perfect. So you won't be able to bend this with 2 pieces, or I wouldn't recommend it. So we're going to do it one at a time. And there's a few different ways that you can do this. First of all, a measurement that you can do, because I can't, oh, here it is. How long of a piece do we need? You know, you can take a piece of string, guide it along the edge. This piece of string is like 8 inches long. So we're going to need at least 8 inches for this. I'm going to cut it a little bit longer than 8 inches to make sure. She's a little short. She's not quite as deep as this other one, but that's okay. I'm okay with it. So this is kind of where you know, you can keep a hold of this. I don't recommend elastic, but you know, use some kind of yarn. You could measure it that way, you know, just put it alongside here and cut. I am going to use a ruler for this part. I am going to give her a little bit of extra. So I have her at like 8 1.25. And I am going to cut through her. Okay, so this is where you could do a few different methods. Welcome to everyone coming in. Excuse me, I need to take a drink. Totally not having a McDonald's Coke at 10:30 in the morning. So there's a couple ways you can do this. So I cut this so that of course, maybe this isn't common sense, but I cut this so that the grain is going this way. So it can bend around this angle. And there are a few ways that you can do that. You can remove this backing, which can be difficult. You can spray it with water, and that will make it easier to kind of peel this off, this second layer of paper to make it bendy. You can also just like actually, I wouldn't recommend doing it with a knife. Where's my bone folder? Bone folder? Hello? Oh, she's right here. Take something that's dull and just kind of run it through these corrugations. You're kind of breaking up the corrugation. That's pretty easy to do. Like I'm not putting very much pressure on this. And it doesn't even need to be perfect. Here's like some paper that I didn't quite get off. So you can do it this way. You can leave the corrugation off and just kind of bend her along those corrugations. There's a few different ways that you can do this. This one will kind of make it easier to finish. But I'm not worried about that. If you know, I do it this way where I'm kind of like releasing the corrugation. I'm probably going to put a piece of paper or glue a piece of paper on the inside to make it look more finished. So again, that's, you know, looks pretty nasty, but look, it's going to bend pretty well. And I cut, this is 8 inches around. I cut this a little bit deeper because just in case, just in case. So if I wrap her around this edge, it is a little long, but I got to make sure first. I'd rather, you know, the motto is, what is it? Cut twice? No, measure once, measure twice, cut once. I don't know. It's one of those. Better for it to be long and then have to cut it down than for it to be too short and then have to cut a whole other piece. So, and I could have easily cut this with scissors. And you can see this is a little off here. I didn't go down far enough. So I'm just going to cut this off with scissors. And it's not perfect. That's okay. But that's going to fit really nice here. So before I glue that down, or did I already make another piece? Let's make another piece. So we do that now and not have to fuss with it later. This one will have to be longer because if you put this down here, it's not the same measurement as the one that you took around the curve. So this curve is 8 inches. You're going, well, actually, you're probably going to want to add like a little bit, like maybe 1/8 of an inch. If you forget, not a big deal. You can cover it up later on. So, again, I'm cutting with the grain. I'm going to use the scissors this time to show that you can. Won't be able to probably cut it the whole way with scissors, but I got at least a little far. I'm not even going to use a straight edge. I'm just going to follow my line very slowly. And there. So we have the other piece. I'm going to peel off this other layer as much as I can. And then I'm going to kind of, did you see there? I did not add any extra length. So I'll be able to show you that. But I'm just going to run my bone folder through it. You don't want to run anything sharp, just take something dull. You could use a pen or something like that so that it's flexible. So how are we going to do this? We are going to do this with hot glue. I know, naked cardboard. Hi, Tasha. Welcome to, oh my gosh, did I miss? I am sorry if I missed anything. I did. I'm sorry that I missed your raid, Tasha. I'm hyper focused. Hyper focused. Thank you for the raid, Tasha. I appreciate it. The bad thing about streaming right now is that I missed your show. So, but thank you for raiding in. For those who just came in, I am making a little wall shelf out of cardboard, and she's sturdy. She's a sturdy girl. She's got good hips. She has got good hips. I've doubled up the cardboard, alternating the corrugation. We've used hot glue to kind of assemble the pieces together. We used all-purpose glue and hot glue to laminate the two pieces together. The two pieces together, and then we used hot glue to assemble it all. So she is very strong even right now. So I already demonstrated this, but she can already hold this weight. This is 24 ounces of glue. It's a good pound at least. And now we're adding our arch. And I've just removed, I have two of these. I want to make it the same depth that this is. So I'm going to put two, but I've removed the extra piece of paper so that it will bend more easily. And I've just kind of run my bone folder through the corrugation to kind of like loosen up the paper. You don't have to loosen it up totally. But so this is the tricky part. Let me see if I can make sure. Do I have enough glue? I should. I'm going to glue on here, and I'm going to do it slowly. So this is one of the times where you can do it slowly because it's bendable. It's going to be much harder to do it slowly on this because this is very solid. So I am going to start with a little bead of glue here at the bottom to get her started. Just so at least this part is stable. So I'm going to hold that down. Again, I like the hot glue for building the structure, and then I like doing both, or at the least all-purpose like liquid glue for the laminating the pieces together. So she's on there now. So I am going to slowly connect her. And is it sloppy? Yes, it is very sloppy. Does it matter? No, it doesn't. She's actually pretty nice. So I'm just kind of holding her down. That sounds weird. Running a bead of hot glue on the arch on this part is where I'm running the hot glue. I didn't let her sit. So we're just gonna, let her get cold better. So she's kind of come up over here on the other side, which she can fix. Easy peasy fix too. And then I have still a little bit left here. And again, you can be generous with the glue because you can go back and clean it up once it's dry or once it's hardened. So I'm going to give this a nice squeeze. Hi, the dazzled pot. Welcome in. I'm just doing like a little demonstration of how to make stuff with cardboard. This is more of a decorative piece, but you can also make a lot of organization for craft supplies, which I'll show you here in a minute. Good suggestion, Mel. Let me just make sure she holds down. And you could also, it is absolutely not cheating. Oh, you know what I need? I need an organizer. Where is she? You can always take some masking tape. And if you're like, I just want to hold it down temporarily. I don't know. This isn't in. This is just a little bit of masking tape. I'm going to re-glue this because she kind of came up. And there. So that'll hold. I'm going to show you my little organization caddy that I have here. That was one of my first big projects, like finished projects. There we go. So this started by needing some organization for some rolled media. I couldn't find what I wanted, so I made it, and then I realized I can make anything now. So I made this organizer. She's, again, very sturdy. She's got some like finger holds on the side here. I can move her from place to place. I like to put my clips on here, and then, you know, I can put my tape on the side. I have my little awl pushed in to the divider to keep it upright. I have a space for like notebooks. Here's for rulers. My only regret with this one is I should have put a divider here, and I can still do that. I could still go in here and put like a little divider, a small one, there to keep the rulers upright. So I've already lost a few rulers down there. So I'll probably do that. Maybe I can do that today, off stream. But yeah, this is the first one I made. This is the first like one I finished. I lost my paper tearing rulers, but I am very particular. This was measured out a lot. I wanted it to be very square. Like I even have, oh, there it goes. I even have this little piece of cardboard here so that I could line it up correctly on both sides because I'm a nerd. Has finished dividers on the inside, and this was then, at least the edges were finished with some packing paper and a decoupage Mod Podge. It's actually Mod Podge solution with water and glue, and then covered the edges because I didn't want to see the corrugated edges, so I've covered the edges. I could still add plenty. See, there go my rollers. I could still add plenty to this. I could paint it. I just put a little bit of stenciling on it using some texture paste just to put some kind of decoration on it. So these stars here have a little bit of texture on them. And I put a star here. And I put some stars here. And I added a few little things here with texture paste. I love this thing. I could put this on the ground and stand on it, and I'm definitely over 200 pounds, and it would be sturdy. I wouldn't jump on it, but I could definitely stand on it gingerly, and it's going to stay put. So I feel like this is as strong as I could make without using like metal and welding or wood and, nailing things together. So she's sturdy. Again, she's got good hips. So I'll put her here. And this is a sample that I made last night to show that it doesn't take too much patience to have to wait for it to dry. So now we have this. She's good. I can take them off. I can leave them on. It doesn't matter. So she's here. I'm going to put this other one on. Hopefully it'll fit-ish. It fits-ish. That's okay. So for this one, I am going to put this glue, because this is the glue that I would prefer to laminate it with. But I'm also going to put like a bead of hot glue. Not a ton, but just enough. I'm kind of lining this up with my fingers. It is not quite long enough to cover it completely, but that's okay. And just hold it down. Hold it down for a few seconds. The hot glue is helping it stay together quickly. So I could probably release that. And if, I wanted to be particular about it, I could, whatever. I can cut a length here of cardboard, slice a little piece off. And very carefully put it in here to like fill in the gap if you wanted to. And sure, it looks ugly now, but you can make it look finished later using kind of the Mod Podge method. But look, we already have a shelf. I could definitely already put a hanger on the back of this or put a wire, and it's sturdy. I could put, I want a cute place to put my Mod Podge. I could do that now. So I don't worry too much about the edges. If maybe I wasn't doing this live and I had infinite hours to do this, I would without losing everybody. But I don't worry about it because I will put packing paper. I will apply. Oh, where'd my sample piece go? Oh, I have packing paper torn into strips. This probably didn't come with this box, but this came from the same place, from the same Big A website. I will use this, and I'll try to fit in a very quick demonstration. I really wanted to be this only an hour and a half, but now we're at 2 hours of how to do this. If you know how to decoupage, you know what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a layer of glue down. I'm going to put this on top, and then I also put a layer on top of the paper once it's glued down. So I don't worry too much about these edges. They're a little off, which is hard to see, but I can come in here and trim it off carefully. See, my blade is already kind of dull, so I'm gonna chomp her off. And now I've got kind of a new blade, but you can, saw through her. I brought this serrated knife. The serrated knife also works pretty well. Probably works better when you're not trying to cut an edge, but you can make the edges better if you'd like to. But here we are. We already have a box. You can actually put screws in this. Fine. I would also add glue to it. I should have brought my hangers. Don't have them. But, take those miniature screws, and you want to use an awl to put a hole in here, and you want to use one smaller than your screws. So you could put a little hole back here. You can put a screw, you can, tighten a screw in here. I would put some glue in it then before you put the screw in, and just be careful. Like if you don't want it to show on the other side, you don't want it to go through all the way, but some super glue in this hole with the screw, and it's going to be very stable. So here we are, and mine has some depth to it just to be interesting. You could also, if you want to cut out shapes before, if you were going to decoupage it, to kind of make it smoother, you can add shapes to this, and then when you decoupage it, it'll be a lot smoother. So you could do that now. You can do that after you decoupage, with some paper. What is it called? Paper stuff. Paper molding stuff. I can't think words. What are words? I don't know what words are. You could do it with that. You can add texture to this with a stencil and some modeling paste really easily. Maybe I'll do another half of the show. I'll finish this a little bit, and then we can do a separate show just to show you how to kind of decorate it. So you could do that, and add a lot to it. That is what one of the YouTubers do that I watch. Her name is Sardis. It's Sartes. Yeah, Sartes. She makes a lot more decorative than functional things. But she uses cold porcelain to decorate hers. She will put all of the decorations on first, and glue them down, put the decoupage paper on first, and then she'll go back, she'll prime she'll go back and she'll add, if she wants to do any texture paste, she'll do that like this. This is a stencil, and I use some texture paste to put this on here. She'll do that, and then she'll prime it in acrylic paint, usually black acrylic paint, but like any kind of solid color would probably, neutral solid color. I don't know if I would use white unless you're using a really see-through color like yellow. But she usually primes it first, all one color, like a gray, a dark gray. And then it makes it a little bit easier to decorate later, and you can add some depth to it because the gray will stick in like the corners and make it look nice and worn. So, we can do that. But I want to show you at least a little bit what I would do next. Before I do I hit, I have like 2 minutes before I hit the top of the hour. Okay, so I have some little strips of paper. This is 1/4 of an inch. This thickness here on the edge is 1/4 of an inch. This is too long, or too wide. I'm just going to cut this in half because it, again, does not need to be perfect. And what I'm going to do with this is cover this corrugation. So if you wanted it to have a cleaner finish, and maybe you don't want to do like a decoupage on it, you could at least cover the edges with a strip of paper, and some hot glue. I would recommend hot glue for this. You could double up, but at the least hot glue for it to stick. And it'll make the edges nice and clean, so you won't see the corrugation. So if you wanted to paint it or whatever, you won't see this unless you want to see it. That's fine too. So that's what I would usually do. I'm going to do just this edge. I'm going to put a bead of glue on this edge and put this paper down. It is slightly too wide, so I'll probably have to snip it down a little bit, but I can snip it here. And it's just going to clean up the edge for when we're doing this decoupage of the paper. So let me grab, I had more. I must have used a lot of it last night. So this is the packing paper that came probably with one of these boxes. And I do not throw this paper away. I don't even reuse it to package other things. This is staying for paper projects. So this isn't going to need much. I will flatten it out and I will fold it up and store it like flat. This is valuable paper. So if I'm going to do the decoupage on the edges, I am going to need little strips. And the smaller the project, the smaller the strips that you want. They don't have to be super small. I mean, I could still use this like on the edge. But, you know, if you're doing like this arch here, you want to have smaller or not strips that aren't as deep. So what I'm going to do, don't even need scissors for this because it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be in camera though. There we go. I'm just going to tear this, tore it along the grain. I'm going to tear it again. You absolutely, this does not have to be uniform. If anything, you probably don't want it to be uniform because that, I think it works better when it's not uniform. You know, it's better coverage. I'm going to cut another, make this smaller. And then I'm going to take these pieces and I'm just going to tear them up also. So they're about like 2 inches, I'd say. So I am just, this is going to be the like finishing of it. So, oh, this is too long or too wide. I'm just going to cut them down. I used to keep a box of these. These do never get thrown away. Almost never, unless I'm really stocked up. But, you know, I have a little pile here of this. Oh, there goes everything. We don't need that, do we? We will look at this. When you have an organizer, then what you can do is put things away. That's like highly overrated, putting things away. Creating organizers, though, is fun. That's not going to go in there. Using the organizer to stay organized, overrated for sure. Okay, so I am going for the sake of, I don't know, it being as easy as possible. You can use Mod Podge. You can use regular, oops. You can use regular Elmer's glue. This is school glue. This has more water content. So if you're using this as your like Mod Podge, the ratio for this is 3:2. So if you're making like a little cup of it, you want 3 parts of glue, 2 parts of water, because this contains more water. If you're using an all-purpose glue or like a PVA glue, which I put in smaller batches, but like this is my PVA glue. This is a 1:1 ratio because there's less water. So if you're taking notes, PVA, all-purpose, hardware glue type wood glue, it's going to be 1:1 ratio. So if you're measuring out 1 cup to 1 cup that you're going to put into a container and stuff. Yes, you could use washi tape to you could use it to decorate it. You could use it to hold things down for this. That's definitely, I've seen people use contact paper also. I don't have any, or I would show you. Um, I actually added a tutorial to the playlist where it shows the guy, all he does is add the contact paper. So he makes the raw piece. He doesn't do any of the finishing parts. He just adds contact paper right to it. He's also measuring a lot more precise. But you know, you could still just use contact paper to make, if you want to make it that way. At this point, even though I don't have these edges covered, I could use texture paste and again do that like Adobe finish to it. So it and cover it, you know, it makes it nice and smooth and round, and gives that like kind of Southwest feeling to it. You could do that. But I want to show you the method to decoupage it that I like to use, which isn't exactly like decoupage, I think. I'm gonna like slice this a little. Maybe it's a little bit more even. But I want to show you how I do it. So this will be the result afterward. I did this last night. At this point, like 15 hours ago. She's already pretty dried up. I could decorate her right now. So this is like, I was thinking, oh, I could put a quote here. Maybe I'll write mom here, and I could paint flowers on the edge. I could, you know, maybe I'm not good at that part. I don't want to use my handwriting. I have a stencil. I could use a stencil and texture paste, and add, you know, flowers to the edge, or add other, you know, decorative pieces onto this. And this is already something that I could gift to someone. You know, I could put like a cute ribbon on the back. I could probably just hot glue it since this is decorative. It's not going to hold anything. So it doesn't need the strongest of um, uh, uh, hangers. It doesn't need the strongest of hangers. So I could like hot glue some cute ribbon on the back. I could hot glue some ribbon here. I could use a pretty stencil, maybe stencil some flowers in here. And this is a gift. And like I said earlier, I love a handmade gift over a store-bought gift any day, because it's the thought. To me, it really is the thought. I hate receiving gifts, first of all. I love giving them, but I hate receiving them. But I will always receive a handmade gift, because I love that, because I like to make them myself, and I love to receive them. And this cost me, I had all the tools I needed to make this, so it didn't technically cost me anything when I made it. I have all the paint, I have all the supplies. So uh, times are tough, finances are tough right now. So um, you know, if you want to make, you want to make gifts for your family or friends, and you don't have the extra money to spend, but you've got a cardboard box, you've got some paints, you've got some glue, you can make a really cute gift with this. And like I'm showing you here, I didn't really measure any of this. I did it all by eye. The only thing I measured was to make sure that I got this correct, and I didn't even get it correct when I did measure it. So you know, this would be adorable as a gift, a mom's day gift. You know, if you're really creative or resourceful, I don't even think you have to be creative. You just have to be resourceful. This could be a mom's gift. Maybe you get some other scrap paper and you make some fake flowers out of it, or maybe you have some artificial flowers at home that you could, you know, decorate it with. The possibilities are endless. And if you already have the supplies, then you're not spending anything extra. And that's always helpful when it comes to those holidays. So really what you're spending is you're giving them your time more than you're giving them your money. And personally, that's the way that I like to go. So anywho, Mod Podge. Actually, I'm going to shake it up a little bit. I like matte finish. I don't like glossy finishes, which is why I like this finish as it is. This was done with glue and water. But I'm going to use the Mod Podge for you guys because you're special to me and you deserve the best. And the best is Mod Podge. So I like to use a silicone brush or scraper to do this. It's helpful getting into these corners than a brush is. But you might find a brush easier to control the amount on here. So getting the Mod Podge on the brush, it feels like I always overload, or on the brush, it's always the right amount. On this, on the silicone brush, I feel like it's harder to control how much I put onto it. This is the way I like to go though. So I'm going to use this, at least for this first one. And let me get a little bit closer. So I'm just going to do this edge for demonstration purposes. So my brush, my silicone brush just barely fits in there. I'm brushing on the Mod Podge on all of the sides. I'm kind of sticking the paper down. Of course, it's not sticking because, of course. And I'm using, oh, I'm doing a horrible job of this. I obviously did not put enough. So I'm going to add a little bit more glue here. I put it on the side first, and I'm just using the silicone scraper to kind of make it straighter. You can always go back underneath it, and don't sweat the mistakes because you can go back and add 2 layers if you want to really finish it nicely. But I think you're good with just 1 layer. So let's add another one. A little bit more Mod Podge. So I'm scraping some Mod Podge on the inside, on this side, on this side. You could even just pick up your paper like this. Oops. Or not if you have too much stuff on your. So I'm just kind of using the silicone brush to mold it to it, which I find is really helpful when you try to get into these corners down here. So I'm just flattening it down. It is definitely not perfect. And that is fine. I like to overlap these a little bit. So there's still some glue there. I'm going to pick up maybe. And I'm going to overlap it at least a little bit. So it's got a little bit of overlap there. And I'm just kind of using the silicone brush to really push down the edges. And the Mod Podge is nice because it always seems like it has the perfect water content or in it, that it doesn't bubble as much. But you can see the one that I did here last night, I had some issues because I think my glue that I was using had too much. I had too much glue to water ratio, but it still dried, you know, not bad. If I was going to paint over this, I would not be sad. If I wanted to make it really fancy and perfect, I could always go back and, you know, do another coat and be more patient with myself. But what I wanted to show you here is, if I can find it. So right here, I didn't put that piece of paper down, and it's not a disaster not to do that. You sometimes can see the corrugation come through. You can see it here, sort of. So you can kind of see how the corrugation texture came through because I didn't put the paper here, but the whole rest of the way around, I think on this side, up to here, has this like paper on the edge. So, and when I do the paper on the edge, I also like to stagger that. So I won't put it on the edge here. I'll put it over here, like maybe half an inch, and then wrap it around, wrap it around, wrap it around. Because I think, you're kind of expecting the edge to be here, and it's harder to make a nice clean edge when that paper also starts there. Hopefully I'm explaining it right. Like if I start the edge here, we've kind of got two possibilities. We've got this nasty corner here, and maybe I didn't cut this right. I just feel like if I start earlier than the corner and then wrap it around, it just makes for a much smoother corner. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Okie dokie. So there's two or a few pieces. It dries pretty quick. It's about 60 degrees here today, so the glue is drying fairly quick. I want to show you using a brush. Highly recommend not using good brushes, but you can still use any brush you want. It can, if maybe you handle this better, or you don't have a silicone brush, you can always also do this. You are definitely going to glue on your hands. If you don't get glue on your hands, is it really an art project? So it's much easier to control how much glue is on here, or how much kind of like decoupage is on here with a brush. And you can, like I missed glue here, so I just kind of lifted that up and I put it back down. And, can kind of correct that. So I would do all of the edges, all of this corrugated side. I would do this and cover it with, I would cover it first with this paper for these edges. I wouldn't bother with the back, but if you want to make it really finished, you could do the back also, or you could cut out a piece exactly this length or exactly the shape if you want to. Excessive, but you could do that. I would do that. Then I would do these edges, do the shipping paper. I would likely do one coat of paper on the whole entire thing. So at least one on the whole entire thing. It is not, you don't really have to do this side, this really flat, big side, if you don't want to, especially if you're going to texturize it later. But you can. I probably wouldn't. I'm probably just concerned about the corners. So I would cover this at least once, and then I would go back and do the edges again as a second coat. And you can do coats on the edge. It can be tricky, but you can do it if the paper is wet enough, or you can kind of give it some cuts there. But even dry, you can make a really nice corner. You can make a really nice corner there. So that's, the first project is probably not going to be the prettiest. But you know what? It'll be your favorite because it's your first one. So now that I've blathered on forever, by the way, so this will take at least a few hours to dry, depending on what the weather is. If it's more humid, of course, it's going to take longer. You could always use a hair dryer or heating tool to accelerate that if you want, if you need to, if you're on a time crunch. But I like to let it dry completely at least a day before I start going in and decorating, just to make sure. So what I'll do is I'll finish this today. I'll set up another show to do the decorating, and hopefully that won't be a 2.5 hour show. But I'll show you how to decorate it. But do you guys have any questions? I know there's not many of you here. I appreciate those of you who came in, and those who stuck with it. Oh, don't look at my junk, my dirty drawer. There, look at that. If you do you have any questions? Last call for cardboard craft demo notes, where I will put the instructions in on paper, and I can send that to you through USPS. Just the cost of $2 and a stamp, to help cover the cost of doing a demo and not really selling anything, and so still supporting me on this. This is casted also on YouTube on the red site with the play button, on the play button site. We'll just say that. It's casted there, so there will be a recording there forever of this 2.5 hour long presentation, under this name. Under that name, notice there's no I in girl. So I gave myself an I for whatnot, but I took my eyes away for the play button site. But you'll be able to see this. I'm on there live now, and then I think it takes a little while for it to process, but it'll be available as a recording on my YouTube channel, on the Play Button channel, under lives. So when you go to the Play Button channel, you put in my channel name, you click on my channel to see all of my content, which isn't much right now. Click on the tab that says live. It won't be under videos, it won't be under shorts, it'll be under lives. And you can rewatch it there if you missed anything. And then you can speed through it and put it on mute so you don't have to listen to me talk. But thanks for hanging out. This was an hour longer than I anticipated. If there are no questions, if you're not following yet, please follow. I would appreciate it. I have a lot of shows already planned. I'm going to put some more on for this week, because I have a lot of stuff to do, and I really like doing that along with somebody. So I'll probably do some body doubling sessions. I have Happy Mail in my shop right now. If you wanted to grab any of that, I have one for $2 for today's show. I have one for $1, which you'll get a coloring page and some stickers. And then I have a deluxe version for $5, which includes a custom stencil, some lettering like this that you can use on like your A2C or in your spreads. Yeah. So do that. I'm going to raid into someone. Thank you, Amy. I'm going to see if can I do it from, oh no, I'll just do it from here. Let's raid in. I don't have, does anybody have any recommendations to raid into? Or if you know someone's live that is safe to raid into, you know what I mean. Oh, thank you, Bev. I'm subbed to your channel already. I'm already your biggest fan. You just haven't put any, I don't think you've put content on there recently. Okay, so we'll just read into somebody random. I have My Digital Cottage here. Let's see if there are any others that look okay. We'll just do that one. She's in scrapbook and journaling, so we'll go to her. I don't have a raid call or anything, so oh, Bev, I'm sorry. Yeah, I need to stand up more as I do these shows, so I understand having to like really be mindful of your back, but I appreciate you guys. Thanks for being here. Thank you for sticking around if you stayed for the whole time. And if you have any questions, you can always DM me here and whatnot. So let's go raid into My Digital Cottage.